Check, check, test. No checks, cash only. How we doing on audio? Sound? Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. I hope you all had a great week. I did. Let me get this microphone out of my face. Make sure everything sounds good. Looks like it's doing well. Hi. Wow. Yeah, we were having a nice chat in the pre meeting, and there it goes again. I do not get that. As soon as the stream starts, everybody drops. That's just stupid. I wonder if it's something I've set up wrong. I just don't know. Okay, so I'll hang here for a minute and kind of let folks get reconnected. That just makes no sense whatsoever. I wonder... I have an idea what's causing this now that I've thought about it. Okay, so it looks like folks are starting to stream back in. Great. Tom, your connection didn't get kicked off, but it looks like everybody else did. I don't get it. I'm gonna do some experimenting, I guess, and see what I can do. Oh, I didn't drop, but I did get a commercial when it started. Okay, Robert, that's good to know. Okay, so let's go back and see who all is here. We got Robert in, of course. Gary, Tom is here. Hey, guys. Judy's on the line. Vincent's RV Life is here. They're up in upstate New York right now, enjoying some cool weather versus Richmond, Virginia, where they're at. I actually have some friends that live in Richmond there, Bruce. One of these days I'll be out to the East Coast and maybe we can meet up if we don't get to meet down in Arizona this winter. If all things go right, I should be in southern Arizona. I'll probably starting around the end of the first week of January, and I'll probably be down there probably through the end of February. And that depends on if I can find somebody to take care of my sidewalks. Because they'll give you a ticket. Excuse me. They'll give you a ticket around here if you don't keep your sidewalks clear. Which is complete contrast to where we are today, because we were also talking about the heat, and it was 100 degrees the last time I looked. Just a second. I'll check the official TR weather station. Oh, it's down to 97, so, but still, working on the truck camper, I have to knock off at 1 o'clock. It's just got so hot, and just brutally hot. And we were chatting also about Starlink. Ian Fox, if you happen to be on, let us know what your Starlink download speeds are, if you have a chance and you're out there somewhere. Let's see here. Oh yeah, we were talking about download speeds, and then Robert accused me of just being a bragger. I've got fiber, gigabit fiber, from CenturyLink. I'm really close to the college, and I think they've probably done that. I mean, they're spreading it out basically from the college, and so I'm really lucky that I have it, and I'm spoiled rotten. I totally agree. I don't know how I lived on my cell phone, although with this and my cell phone booster, I'd get 85 meg downloads and 10, 12 meg uploads. Being on fiber is what has allowed me to go to doing 4K videos and doing a 4K broadcast. This is in 4K tonight, which reminds me, sometimes folks come in and they have a little trouble with latency. And I wanted to show you a little trick here. Let me go over here to, see here, I have to move this guy out of here so you don't get into the infinite, endless loop. And let's close that. Come on. And let's see here, I wanted to go over here, and I want to be on, let's see, I think it's this page. Yeah. Okay, so this just happens to be a video I was watching here a few minutes ago. And if you look down here, you see this little gear icon. And in this particular case, this is also, this is a 1080 video. So if you're getting to where it's really latent, in other words, your connection's jumping and dropping a lot, just turn down the quality. 720p 60 is still really good broadcast quality, and will save a ton of bandwidth, and you will be able to watch it without interruption. Then you can go down here to 480, or go to one of the lower ones. 480 is probably about the minimum you'd want to try to get a decent, what I'm trying to say, a decent result. Let me close this up here so I don't look so blue or yellow or whatever color this is. It makes me look blue. Okay, so with that, yeah, so we were talking about download speeds, and I say I have gigabit fiber here, and I was thinking about this while I was trying to get the stream started. I was an IT manager for an engineering company for many, many years, as many of you might know if you've been watching my channel for a while. And gigabit is more connectivity than I had in 16 offices. 16 offices that were on the network back in right around 2000. A gigabit is 10 times more than I had in all those offices. So it's just, I guess, the way technology moves, huh? So, but I love bragging about my internet. So Judy's in, Vincent's in, Roundtown Scouter's in from Columbus, Robert Covington. Hi, Robert. Good to see you from Tennessee. Tara Casey Jones from Jansen Beach. KX Racer 704 is here. Dang, I forgot to do that. I'll do that right after the stream tonight. I'll get you these dimensions, Jay, so you can see if you've got any of this that might work for me, because I'm still having trouble finding it. I do have a lead on some, though, down in LA from a company that manufactures RV doors and that kind of stuff. So fingers crossed that I might be able to turn some of it up. Of course, if you have any RV related question, throw it over into the chat window. I'm happy to answer it here live, or you can send me an email, trbolin@gmail.com, and we can have a discussion offline. And then usually what I'll do is, if it's interesting and I think it might be pertinent, we bring up the window. We'll bring it up and share it. I saw Ben Demby check in. Hi, Ben. So good to see you tonight from West Palm Beach. Scott Mogich says Scott got back from camping. No cell signal, no upload or download. This is not getting away from it all what it's meant to be. Yeah, totally agree with you there, Scott. There's certain places on the earth that shouldn't have cell phone coverage. Gary says it was 111 was better than 116. He's down in Phoenix. Okay, so Ben Demby, we were chatting about, Scotty was asking about panel delamination. I don't know if Scotty's in tonight or not. But Ben sent me an email that of a project he had done, and I asked him if I could share it, and he graciously said yes. So let me go pull this up. And I wish I would have got this uploaded. Let's see here. We'll just have to share the email here. So let me pop over here to this guy, and let me bring this up so I can monitor. Okay, so this is Ben's 99 Winnie, Winnebago, and here's a good example of delamination. It looks like it was water. I recognize this. This is water damage all through this area right in here. Delaminated panels from, looks like the door. Looks like his entry door there is all delaminated. And there you go. You can see where he is starting to work and get the plywood replaced. It looks like he went back quite a ways, at least back to the door there. And then there's obviously his clamping method for clamping up when he was relaminating the fiberglass to the replaced substrate, the replaced plywood. getting it wedged in there nice and tight. Looks like he had some repair to do over that front window there too, up there at the top. And he's got some problems inside. But yeah, so Ben's got some experience with it. He sent me some information about a kit that he used to relaminate it with. And if anybody was interested in that, let me know and I'll share this information with you. It was really fairly inexpensive. Of course, I don't know when you did the project, but the repair kit looks like you got about, looks like a pint, 1.2 quarts of Bond and so on and so forth. Was roughly 120, 130 bucks. So that's not too bad to repair a delamination problem like he had there. Let me slip back over here to the comments and see what's if anything's popped in. Two feathers, put wings on that bad boy and I'll buy it. That's pretty funny. The mini-me car. Yeah, that channel was Sarah Intuned. She is down in Tucson. I actually ran into her at a Harbor Freight down there when I was wintering down there in 2019, but I've been watching her channel for a long time. Not only because she's cute, but because she does some amazing restoration work on cars. And she's building that VW up as a giveaway car. So Sarah Intuned, Sarah-N-Tuned. You might check her out if you're interested in, if you're a build nerd like me. She's pretty good, pretty funny. Scotty's in. I'm going to have to rewind. All I heard was I jumped in as delamination and kit. Haha. Yes, Scotty, it'll be back right at the about 7-8 minutes into the discussion, into tonight's stream. You'll find it. And Ben's in here. He's just above you there. Yeah, I'd be happy to share information with you. You've got my email address, so Ben, if you're or Scotty, if you want to email me, I could send you the information. He's got a video here. I don't know, and then a link to the delamination repair kit. So Scotty, my email is trbolin@gmail.com. You can email me, and I'll share the information that Ben sent me with you. So questions, any questions at all, any comments, please throw them over there in the chat window, and we'll see if we can get you addressed. I don't know if I've missed anything. Let me run back here and just look through the chat. When I'm scrolling, sometimes it jumps and I'll go by 5 or 6 comments, and I'm thinking that I've gotten everybody, but I didn't. I'm for some reason jumping ahead. Oh, it says he completed it 3 months ago. Okay, Ben, thanks. That's good to know. Eric Myers is in from Blackhawk, South Dakota. Hi, Eric. Vincent RV Life says they just ended up driving from Richmond up to the up into upstate New York. Averaged 9.4 miles a gallon on the trip to New York. Gas in Richmond was $4.19. Up in New York, it's $4.79. Well, it's $5.19 here, and they keep saying that the gas prices are starting to come down. I haven't seen it here locally. I don't know if you guys have or not. But it's going to make it a little easier to get out and get around. With gas, $4, $3.50. That's workable. IMHO, in my humble opinion. So the truck camper, I guess we'll chat about it real quick. It's coming along nicely. I've got about well, I'm way ahead of what you're seeing in the video series. I'm just getting started on some of the rebuilding in this week's video. But I've got the whole front reconstructed now. I've got the roof done back, I'm about half done with the roof. I've had to replace all of the structural framing material in the roof. The sheeting up there, the sheeting was all bad, and I had a real struggle figuring out how to get the sheeting. It's a chicken and egg kind of thing. The sheets seams meet under a 2x4, and so what I was trying to figure out is how to put the sheet on, put the frame on top of it, and all of this and that, and it took me like 3 tries to get the sequence, the order of operations worked out, how it would work best, because I can't build a 6-foot segment of this roof and get it up there myself. I could build it on the ground and huck it up onto the roof, but the damn thing weighs 250 pounds when you're done putting it all together, and it is really a huge pain. When you're working by yourself, you get to see in the videos coming up all of the tricks that I've used working alone, using little ratchet straps a lot to kind of pull things into plumb. 2x4s leaned up against the camper to get stuff up inside it. It's craziness. And I finally started taking the back apart. I had left the back skin on, and I'm starting to pull it off. And yeah, the back it's all on the bathroom side. If you remember from the video on the roof, I showed you where all the rot was up in the roof. Well, it looks like that whole bathroom, I'm probably going to have to strip it out and rebuild it, because it's clear down to the floor. So I know I'm going to have to pull everything out of the bathroom and redo the floor. So I don't know how much of the floor I'm going to have to redo, but there's a fair amount. I got the door out today. I could see. I was hesitant to peel the it's vinyl sheeting. What do they call that? I want to call it linoleum, but it's not. It's vinyl sheet flooring. I got part of that lifted up and was looking, and so it looked okay to a certain extent. But I've got one whole corner that looks like I'm gonna have to take out from the roof to the floor, and rebuild it. Hey, Ian Fox, thank you so much for the super chat. It's greatly appreciated. Yeah, you're welcome on the outlet help. Ian, what are you getting download on your Starlink, and how's it working for you in Tucson? Just curious. Robert Black's got Starlink, and he was getting 100 down, and so I was thinking that from what I've heard about Starlink, that's about what you're getting is 100 down, and that's pretty damn good. So thanks for that super chat. I surely appreciate that. Tom, always questioning my decisions, and that's fine. Your opinion is like mine. You're entitled to it. Still not cheaper. There's no way. Have you priced truck campers lately? Ones that are decent, not a $1,500 one on Facebook that you have no idea what it's about. To get a reasonably decent truck camper in reasonably decent shape, you're looking at around $7,000, and so I'm trying to stay around $5,000, and I'm not even close to that. In fact, with everything that I've done so far, I only have about $320 in the lumber. Of course, my time is worth something, right? But this is a labor of love. It's not a job. I'm not getting paid to do it, other than maybe the few pennies I earn from YouTube on the videos as they run. I don't even make a lot of money off of YouTube, to be honest with you. So it's not about the money either. It's about saving something from the landfill, challenging yourself, and it has been fun. You'll hear me complain, but you're right, Two Feathers. Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship for sure. So throw your comments over in the chat window. We'll take the quick obligatory at least once in the hour commercial break, and say, if you like what you see, and give me that thumbs up. That's always greatly appreciated. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Ring that notification bell. Lots of stuff still to come on RVing. I've got some other videos in the works right now that'll be coming out this fall. just that are completely not about RVing, more about stuff that I like to do, like the Yellowstone Old Faithful video I posted. Oh, what was that, Friday of 4th of July weekend? I was doing some work and I ran across that footage and I'd forgotten I'd taken that, so I hurried up and threw that up just for fun. But yeah, Tom Downey says Diesel 610 up there at Whidbey Island. And there's one here for 4,500, look really nice. Yeah, I suppose, like I say, 4,000 to 7,000, 7,500 to get anything that's decent. I won't have that much money into this one. There's no way. And even if I do, so what? I'm going to keep it for 10 years. I'm not building it to sell it. I mean, if somebody came along and made me the right offer, I would surely buy it or surely sell it. But no, it's fun. It's a project. I love doing that kind of stuff. KX Racer says, I think it's great that you're rebuilding your truck camper. When it's done, you'll be way more proud of it. It's just the way it is. Yeah, for sure, KX Racer. You know all about it, building yours. I mean, and you had to go back and basically start from scratch, right? I mean, the best video on your channel, at least the funnest one, is when you drug that truck camper off the back of your pickup in the rainstorm and set it on fire. The old one. I mean, it was rotten. I'm surprised you didn't get killed moving it. But yeah, that was a great video. Okay, so Ian Fox on Starlink says, at night, 100 plus, but 5 to 16 during the day, sometimes worse. We ended up getting a T-Mobile 5 gig hotspot last week and seeing how it compares. It's $55 a month and Starlink is $130. So, yeah, well, that's good to know. Of course, you are in a metropolitan area, and also, well, I don't know if there'd be a lot of van lifers and bus lifers and that kind of stuff down there this time of year. I guess you never know. But yeah, it's going to be, kind of dependent upon the population and how many people are using it. And Starlink, cable modems, DSL, I don't care what you got. It's shared. All right? It's a shared service. So you're sharing that space, that capacity with somebody else. And when a lot of people are online, things slow down. There's the snowbird congestion that always happens down in Arizona in the winter on the cellular networks, especially out around Quartzsite. I know many people that are wintering out at Quartzsite, and they're constantly complaining about how bad the cell service is, how bad the download-upload is on cell out in, out around Quartzsite and down in that area, because there are so many people out there who are on their cell phones, streaming media and the stuff like that. And the telephone companies, when they make decisions to build something, it's how fast will it pay for itself. Okay, they use a rule called density and distance. Okay, so the density is how many people can we serve, and how far is it from the location that we have to serve it from to that location, and what are the costs associated with that. I've dealt with this, that kind of stuff my whole life. Being in Idaho, always somewhat rural. I mean, I don't even remember having cable TV till the 80s. Maybe that's when it came out elsewhere too, but that's my recollection. So yeah, but I know that my cell booster really changed the way I RV'd. I worried less about connectivity once I got the cell booster up, because I have several videos on my channel. But I think the one I remember the best was I was at Wind Whistle Campground. I think that's what it was called, Wind Whistle, something like that. It's about 30 miles south of Moab on US 191. It's in the Needles district of Canyonlands National Park. And notoriously no cell phone coverage down in that area. And so I pulled in and got set up, and obviously found out, on my phone with the small antenna booster, it wasn't going to work. So I put up my big tower, my big antenna, my directional. I got it tuned up, and streaming Netflix, YouTube, whatever, uploading videos, not real fast, but I had connectivity out there. And the campground host come over. He was watching me put the antenna up, and he says, "What are you doing? There's no TV out here." And I says, "I'm not looking for TV. I'm looking for cellular." "Oh, you'll never get cellular." Blah 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 blah. I says, "You come back up here in a half an hour and ask again." And he came back up, and I showed him on my phone me streaming, right? A YouTube video. And he said, "Okay, how you doing that? How you doing that? I want to know that, because we come out here every year, we campground host, blah, blah, blah." And so I got him all set up with the equipment, and so that he could get it. He managed to get it somehow before I left. I was there for an entire week. And so I went down and helped him get it set up, and he had internet access, cell phone internet access from there. And then the BLM, who runs that campground, contacted me, the guy that was, that was his area of responsibility, and asked me how I was doing it. And I explained it to him. So, yeah, they were completely shocked, because they had, one of the things they were having trouble with getting campground hosts down there is that there was no cellular. There was no internet. What they were allowed to do is they could go to town and go into BLM's office and download and upload all they wanted. But, that doesn't work for a lot of folks anymore. Let's see. Kex Racer has a question. He says his dad is contemplating about getting a Class A. He is currently leaning towards a shorter one, 24 to 27. Do I have any recommendations of decent brands or general tips about shopping for one? Okay, tip number 1. Get it inspected. Okay? Get it, have it inspected before you ever put any money down on it. Because an inspector is going to go in there, and he's going to figure out what's going on, and that's going to be money well spent. I'll make one slight correction. A 24 to 27 foot RV will be a Class C, not a Class A. Class A's are typically 33 feet and larger. And under 33, 34 feet, somewhere in there, they're Class C's. The Class C's are built on a smaller chassis. The Class A's are built more on a semi-type chassis. Okay? All right, the second thing is tires. Your inspector should catch all of this, but check the tires, because tires are expensive. If you can't get an inspector out there where you're at, then get it to his mechanic, and have a mechanic that knows that chassis, whether it be a Ford or whatever it might be. Probably will be a Ford. That's the most common chassis. You could get a Workhorse, which is GM, but get it to a mechanic that knows that equipment, and have him look it over. You want to double check the transmission. If you're really serious about it, you want to pull an oil sample from the transmission and send that oil sample in and have it checked. Okay? Because, I'm talking about these expensive things that in RVs that haven't been maintained well cost a lot of money. A transmission in a Class C, you could probably be into it for $2,500, maybe more. In a Class A, it could be $5,000 to $7,000, maybe more. So, an oil sample on a tranny wouldn't be a bad idea. Get it to a mechanic that knows that stuff. Find an RV technician that knows RVs real well, and have him take a look at it if you can't find a certified inspector. RV Training Institute, somebody help me with that. I know there's a viewer that just went through the inspector training. I can't remember who it was. That's what happens when you get all this gray hair. It sucks all the brain cells out of your head. Um, it doesn't come to me, but we do have a guy uh, that views the channel that just went through their inspector training. But I believe he was in Texas. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I think it's called the RV Training Institute, National RV Training Institute, something like that. You might Google it. They might be able to put you onto an inspector up there in your area or somewhere nearby. But yeah, getting it inspected or getting it out like to mechanics, check the tire dates. Don't look at the tread, check the date on the tire. I don't care what you say. I saw somebody in one of the forums the other day says Michelin guarantees their RV tires for 10 years, and I had to call bull wank on that. All right, I'm not going to run tires on any vehicle, or I should say RV, for more than 6 years, period. And that's just the rule. Don't do it. You start blowing tires, you could die. You blow a steer axle tire, you could be in huge trouble. But tires are expensive. Let me think if there's anything else right off the top of my head. I think those are the main things, Guy, KX Racer, to pay attention to. I know there's some other guys in here, and go ahead and throw your ideas in too that are out there. Let me go back to the chat here and see what we've got brewing. Oh yeah, Robert Black says his problem with everyone's hotspot is it's not unlimited, and I always went over every month. Well, Robert, if you will allow me to brag a little bit, I have an grandfathered unlimited data plan from Verizon, and I've had it on my account for over 20 years now. When they first came out, I was, doing IT. We were responsible for cell phones for the company, and my salesman says, "Yeah, you ought to get this unlimited data plan." Now, this is back when, the data you had on your phone, email, stuff like that was pretty small. Speaking of phones and email, but I bought it then, and it's $30 a month, and it's unlimited. And they don't throttle it. Now, what throttles it is snowbird congestion, like we were talking, right? You get a lot of people in Tucson for the winter. You get a lot of people in Quartzsite. The network slows down. That's just the nature of the beast. So, but yeah, so I have that, and I would run in Tucson in the winter because I get most of my entertainment offline. I watch Netflix and YouTube, and I don't know. There's some of the services out there. Pluto TV, not my favorite, but okay. Tubi, Plex, Crackle, all of the other streaming services that are out there. I just dumped Hulu and picked up Paramount Plus because I'm a big Star Trek fan, and they've got all of the Star Trek now is, of course, Paramount, so they pulled it all in. And so yeah, I just dumped Hulu and got Paramount Plus. So I get most of my media offline, but I would run 400 gigs easy in a month down in Tucson for winter. But yeah, the hotspot limits are a problem. They do have unlimited, but they're strongly throttled after you get past a certain point on them. Ben Denby asks, TR, how's my dad? I don't think you said much lately about him, and have you heard from the owners of Rusty where they are? Okay, my dad's fine. He's doing well. He's getting around with a walking stick. It was one that he got. He worked for Union Pacific Railroad for 40 something years, 45 maybe, something like that. It was a long ass time. And he was president of the Union Pacific Old Timers Club for, a year, and then he was in that organization for many years. And what that was is it was Union Pacific employees with 20 or more years. It was a club organization, they'd get together and bitch about the railroad, I guess, I don't know. But and he got a walking stick from one of the guys in that club, and he'd been hanging on to it for 30 years, 25 years, and he finally got the chance to use it. That's a long way to say he's getting around with his walking stick. He says he's off the walker except a little bit around the house. He's off the walker except when he has to go out and walk the dog. So, I think that's, I think that sounds great. I have not heard from the new owner of Rusty. I believe they're still in Germany. I do know that they made it to Connecticut fine, with no problems, at least with the RV. I think there was a few issues with knowing how to run things, which is why I did the RV owner's manual, the Dutch Star owner's manual that's up on my channel. I had gone through and tried to show him all of this stuff. I mean, there wasn't much special about it, and that's the beauty of the older RVs. You don't have all the control crap that can go wrong. I had added a couple little extra things, the solar and stuff like that. But that solar is set and forget, right? I had it set up, you just turn it on and you just forget about it. Especially with the lithium batteries, no maintenance. The Victron equipment that I had was, rock solid, set up, nothing to mess with really. All you had to do was watch it work. And so I do know they made it to Connecticut, but I haven't heard from them since then. I think they might be in Germany still. I don't believe they're planning on going anywhere in it until I want to say after December, but don't quote me on that. Tom Downey. Buy a quality like a Newmar Mountaineer later, 2002, 2008. Yeah, that's a definite option, and they're going for anywhere from about $45,000 to $80,000, depending upon which model and length and so on and so forth. I saw a comment down here, NRVIA certified RV inspector. Thank you, Vincent. You hired one when you bought your Class C, right? You had an inspector come in and do a full inspection on yours, which is really smart. So, oh, okay. Kex Racer says it's a Class A. He wants the bus style one, but short. We saw Newmar Baystar Sport. I'm pretty sure they are 27 or around there. Yeah, my aunt and uncle had a 33-foot Class A Baystar. In fact, I drove it from Arizona back to Idaho in 2019 and 2019. My uncle had a stroke. He couldn't drive it anymore. They went back to Idaho, and I hauled it back up here for him, where I drove it back up here for him to get it back to Idaho. And that was a 33-footer. Well, 32.9, but they say 33. So, yeah, you can get into it. And they sold theirs to an RV dealer out of Seattle. And I think it was 55. And that was a 2006. I think. I don't recall the exact details on it. It was a nice ride, though. It was very nice. And yes, that's the smallest. Like I say, 32, 33 is sort of the flip between, being on a Class C type chassis like the Ford, the Workhorse, or getting up onto a Freightliner or Spartan chassis, that's 32 and above. But yeah, and I agree with Tom Downey. My Newmar, the early year Newmars, the 2002, 2008 Newmars are rock solid, right? I mean, they're well built. They go and go and go and go. You've got to maintain them. I mean, having an RV is not a free ride. You got to do maintenance on them. It's like owning a house. Well, it is a house. It's just on wheels. It's constantly on an earthquake if you're driving it. I forget who said this to me one day, but the only way that an RV isn't costing you money is when it's sitting and parked. And that's not even true, because if you're paying payments on it, then you're still not spending money on it. But it's a heck of a lifestyle, and it's definitely worth it. And I agree with Tom Downey. There is no difference driving a 34-foot than a 40-foot, other than performance. My aunt and uncle's Baystar was a little bit more performant, but it also weighed probably 8,000 pounds less than my 40-foot Class A. But it was a really nice ride. Yeah, it was a really good rig. And, Newmar, they're very well built. All, it's Fords and Chevys, okay? I saw Tom say something, get a diesel, no gas. Uh, there's more than just that goes into that decision. The diesels are a bit more powerful. Uh, they might have longer service cycles as far as between maintenance stuff, but when they break, they cost a beep ton more to fix. So, a diesel engine in a 2004 Newmar Dodge Store in 2017 is going to run you $29,000. Okay, I got first-hand experience. I know exactly what it'll cost. And that was after me screaming at the dealership for about 2 hours one day, telling them I could go buy one cheaper, the same damn motor. Anyway, we found some common ground. Let's put it that way. And he got me a discount. And Tom Downey says, never buy from a dealer. I would tend to agree with that, provided that you have it inspected. Debbie's Lawn Busters. Hi, so great to see you again tonight. We have a Forest River 38-foot toy hauler, 3 slides. Is it normal to have one sagging cable on each slide out? Well, I guess it depends on how much it's sagging, and is it sagging more? Because if memory serves me, on those are cable driven. I think the cable is assists pulling it in. Don't quote me on that. I'm gonna have to go look this up. But if they're sagging the same, if there's 2 cables and they're sagging the same, and it's not excessive, we're not talking like 3 inches of sag, but a half an inch of sag in the cable, then it's probably nothing to worry about. But if it's a big loop, if it's a good sag, or the 2 sides are not the same, or each of the slides that has a sag are different, if one's sagging, this much and one's sagging that much, then it's probably something you want to have looked at or investigate. Okay. Yeah, Vincent RV Life said they recently had their RV inspected, 7 hours, so worth it. Yeah, a good inspector is very, very, very thorough. And they will turn up stuff. I follow several forums. I think everybody knows that. I read several of the forums on IRV too. I follow some Facebook groups, particularly the Newmar Facebook groups. And I see stuff that sometimes just blows me away. I tried to be really careful with my Newmar, with Rusty. My biggest fear, I'll just say it right here. I think I told this to folks before, but my biggest fear was he'd get 200 miles down the road and something would break down on it. Now, I knew better than that, because mechanically that thing was in good shape, and everything else, except for a couple body work problems, not big scars or anything, because I replaced the door, the water bay door. I fixed all that. I painted all that. There was a few minor things that needed to be touched up. There was some crazing in the fiberglass that needed to be touched up, that we just couldn't get to. It was in great shape. I cried the day it left. I still got the footage out there. I haven't done anything with it, but at some point I will. My biggest fear was that they'd get 200 miles down the road and they'd break down. Well, they made it all the way to Connecticut, and so I gave him the 30-30 warranty. Okay, are you familiar with the 30-30 warranty? That's 30 feet or 30 seconds, whichever comes first. Tom Downey says, any Newmar less than a Mountain Air has a lot of wood. And I'm not sure what your problem with wood is. Mine didn't. Mine was all framed with metal. And I had a Dutch Star. And all of the studs and everything was metal framing. So I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Tom. The Bay Stars maybe would, but you know, my aunt and uncle's 2006. I'm sure it was a 2006. Its fit and finish was just as good as my Newmar. As far as, you know, what you'll find in older RVs that have been gone down the road a lot. Remember, you know, they're racking and they're moving and they're bumping and hitting potholes and speed bumps and all kinds of crap. You know, that causes things to shift inside if they're not well built. And you'll see, you know, gaps between cabinets. You know, the doors won't line up on the cabinets right. You'll see gap between the cabinet and the wall. That sort of stuff, from stuff shifting around in the RV, which is to be expected. I mean, like I say, you know, it's a 40-foot rolling earthquake. So they have to be built really well to hold up for 20, 25 years. And I believe that I would agree that the Newmar, any Newmar from 2002 to 2008, 2010, let's say any pre-def Newmar would probably be a damn good buy right now. And yes, they are very hard. I caught your comment here, and they're hard to find, which is unfortunate because, dang, I wish I'd have known that, because we could have put your dad with my aunt and uncle, and I'd have been happy to drive that out there to Pennsylvania and drop it off for you, because that thing was a solid coach, you know. And they got a fair price for it. I mean, they got a fair price. It needed a windshield. There was a big scar on the body from my uncle trying to back it into his shop. He was a spud farmer. Potato, if you don't know what spuds are. You know, spud is something you put in a bung in a drum, right? And a spud to us is a potato. But he's a potato farmer, and he was putting it in the shop, and he caught the edge of the shop door and scraped a scrape in the fiberglass. It was probably 6-7 feet long. I was always going to fix that for him. I just never had the chance. But yeah, it was in great shape. Mechanically, it had the ISC Cummins ISCB, the 300 horse that he had chipped, and the little control widget. You could rank up the voltage, rank up the horsepower to 350. It was well built, well done. Okay, so KX Racer says, yeah, it's hard to find 24 to 30 with a diesel. Yeah. Also, it seems that the diesels get very similar fuel mileage as the gassers, which surprised me. Well, I think that's yes and no. I consistently got, I mean, over the lifetime of having my RV, I got 8.02 miles to gallon on, you know, what was it, 70,000 miles I drove that thing while I had it. So, you know, 8 miles to gallon. I watch, I think I mentioned this guy last week, AZ Expert. He's a repair geek, does RV repair for a living. In fact, he's the one I recommended Scotty go look at his video for relaminating a wall on they did a Winnebago as well on his channel. But he just drove I think it was a class, about a 27, 28 foot Class C. I think it was a Jayco. I think it was on the Ford Workhorse chassis with the V10. And he got somewhere around 8.5 to 9. And I think that's pretty consistent, right? Where the diesels outshine the gassers is when you start climbing mountains. And out there in the Poconos, it's a lot like Arkansas. There's a lot of this. And that's where a diesel will shine. Diesel's going to have more torque. It's going to pull hells better, batter. And when you get into pulling grades and climbing and doing that kind of stuff, a diesel's going to run circles around a gasser. So in that particular case, yeah, if he's going to be out there in the Poconos, and like I say, you know, there's a lot of up and down out there, a diesel would be, a good investment, in my humble opinion. Hey, Tim Myers just checked in. Hi, Tim. So nice to see you. How How is hot and sweaty Richmond? Yeah, there you go. Tom says thing his new Maruti Cummins 8.3 gets 8 to 9. I had the 3126, the Cat 3126 in mine. And yeah, I didn't have any major problems other than the motor. And to be honest with you, that was because the previous owners hadn't maintained it well. You know, you got to do maintenance on them. It was a drag. I got to tell you, you know, you drop 30,000 on an engine, you know, but what are you going to do? Live at the, you know, the Freightliner dealer in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which is where I broke down. We're close to there. Let's see. Tom Downey, I've never had any major problems. Two Feather says, I got lucky too. Looked on Craigslist for a year before I found the one. Yeah, Craigslist is a great source. You know, it's not as, I don't think it's as popular anymore as it once was. I think Facebook Marketplace has taken over some of that. And then RV Trader. I'm sure you've run into that one, KX Racer, Jay. RV Trader is definitely a good space to go to find private parties selling RVs. If you're interested in dealing with a private party, there's dealers on RV Trader as well, but they have to declare if they're a dealer on there, so that's a good thing, I think. Scotty says he's a little disappointed in the Flex Armor roof he had put on a couple years ago, taking it back in for cracking in the top coat. Hope this is not the beginning of a long bad roof story. Yeah, me too. You know, I've heard people brag about Flex Armor. And Scotty, you're in the West, aren't you? If memory serves, aren't you out in Washington as well? Remind me, please. You know, in the West here, we don't get well, you know, this week we've had horrible weather. I mean, hot weather. We don't usually get a lot of, Arizona type weather. Mountain Air has no wood at all. Well, what is it inside? Stainless steel, Tom? I'm assuming you're talking about the framing. Yeah, I hope it's not too, Scotty. Let's see. Vincent RV Life. RV inspections start around 600 and go up depending upon the scope of the work being done. Now that sounds fair. And $600 when you're dropping 60,000, 50,000. It's cheap peace of mind, and could prevent you from buying a lemon. Joey Rogers agrees. Yeah, diesel can pull so much. I don't lose any miles per gallon in the mountains with mine. Scotty says, he's responding to Tom Wills. Set the cruise, leave it alone. Yep, absolutely. That's the way I read mine too. 65 mile an hour. I don't care what the speed limit was, if it was 75 or 80. You know, out here in the West, Utah, Idaho, some of Montana, they have 80 mile an hour speed limits on the interstate. I don't care. 65 and go. That's the way I drove. And or if it was 55, I'd set the cruise at 55 and go. But I agree, Joy, I would see very little reduction in fuel mileage regardless of what I was climbing, whether it was El Cajon going into San Diego or Monarch coming out of Pueblo headed in towards like what's that park up there, Gunnison. Tim Myers, hot and sweaty, but cool inside the coach. Perfect. Two Feathers, I'd rather go up than down. I had a bad experience one time going down. Brakes got real hot, and I was in first gear. I had to take a few 25-minute breaks to get down. Yeah, I had a tough day going over Cajon one time going into San Diego when I blew the hydraulic fan motor. And it took me 2 hours to climb El Cajon because I could climb for about 3 or 4 minutes. I could climb to the next pullout, and then I'd have to stop and wait for the coach to cool off. That was a long day, and that was a $2,200 repair for that hydraulic motor on the fan, because they have a side-mounted radiator, and so there was a hydraulic driven fan that kept the coach cool. Yeah, Scotty's in Bremerton. Okay, that's what I thought. Thanks, Scotty. Tom Downey says they will pry my cold dead hands off my Mountain Air. Yeah, I know several people that have Mountain Airs and really love them. And he agreed with me. 65 mile an hour and stay right. Exactly. Actually, I would usually pick like the second lane. I remember one time coming back up this way, headed north out of Arizona. And it was that time of the year. It was late March, early April. Lots of folks, lots of the Canadians headed back to Canada, headed back to Canada. And there was a group of us that connected just outside of Provo. Like 4 of us all at the same rest area there. And my strategy was pee at Provo and then pee again when you get north of Salt Lake up to, I forget what that one's called. But we took the number 2 lane. I was actually in the lead. I set the cruise at 65, and there was a train of us, fifth wheels, Class A's, Class C's. There must have been 9 of us, and we just took that second lane all the way through Salt Lake and stayed close enough to stop people from cutting through you, but back far enough that you could stop. And of course, we all had CBs, and we were chatting as we were headed up the road. It was kind of a fun time. Didn't know any of these people. It was just, we connected, and we all kind of drove the same. And yeah, hot brakes is no fun, for sure. All right, wow, this hour flew by. Okay, quick commercial. Run over, check out my website, please, trbolin.com. Just poke around a little bit. Check out some of the articles over there. Don't forget you can always email me at trbolin@gmail.com. I'm pretty good about getting back to folks within a reasonable amount of time, usually the next day. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Ring the notification bell. Give me that thumbs up if you're so inclined. And we'll hang here because we're coming up on the 8 o'clock hour. I usually try to keep this around an hour unless there are questions coming in. Sometimes at the end, questions will start to roll in, and so I'll extend it out a little bit. But I usually try to keep this to an hour. I'll run back over the questions here real bit, and I'll say thanks again to Ian for that super chat. You're an amazing fellow, and I look forward to meeting you when I get down to Arizona this winter. I'll be over on the west side of town for at least a week, out there at Snyder Hill, if you know where that's at. It's out there off of Ajo and at San Joaquin. I'll be stopping in there to boondock for a week right after the first of the year. Let's see here, just scanning the comments. All right, anything else? Last call. You're welcome, KX Racer. I will get you the dimensions on this. I can't do it tonight. I got to run here in just a few minutes anyway. But I'll get you the info on this stuff tomorrow and the first thing in the morning. In fact, I'll get up and do this in the morning. But I'll get this measured and sent to you just as an extreme backup. Steve C's in from Pittsburgh. Hi, Steve. So nice to see you. Robert Black. Vincent commented that it was around 600 for his, which I believe was an all day, 7 hours. And it goes up from there depending upon the scope. Joy Rogers says, I have great patience on my camper rebuild. Thank you, Joy. It is definitely a labor of love, but it sure is fun. What do I use to polish the wheels? I used Mothers, and I had one of those balls. I had one of those balls that you put in your drill, and I used Mothers. Joy's in West Virginia tonight. Joy is a truck driver. That's cool. If you get through I-80, 684 intersection, holler. That's where I live. Actually, it's at 15 and 86. I lied. I live on 15 and 86. Have a great week too, you too, Robert. Tom says he's working on waxing and polishing. Yeah, I used to wax my Class A once a year and polish the wheels, the same time, once a year. And like I say, I use the mother's ball and the mother's chrome cleaner. I don't remember the exact name of it. I got a little tube of it, or a little, it comes in a little jar about that, might have been 6 or 8 ounces. You dip the ball in it and you put that in there and you run it, and it polishes everything up nice and pretty. It's good stuff. Which, by the way, if you'd like to support the channel, you can get that through Amazon by visiting the link in the description of this video. As an Amazon affiliate, I get a small commission, but you pay the same price. And trust me, every little bit helps. I've had a really good month on Amazon the last couple months, and I think it's you guys' support that's done that, and so I thank you for that. It's been awesome. And yeah, Amazon's a nice little extra to add on. Most of that money that I make off of Amazon goes into camera equipment. I was sitting here just looking at this. I'll whine a little bit and then we'll shut things up for the night. These damn GoPro cameras overheat. I've got everything turned off. They have something called hyper smooth. I've turned off everything I can possibly turn off, and I spend more time making sure the camera's in the shade working on the truck camper than working on the truck camper, I swear. So it's a pain in the rear. We're getting through it, but yeah, both of them. I use a Hero 8 for my webcam. That's what you're watching me on now. This is my number 2 camera. I do multicam usually on my stuff, so I'll have 2 angles, because sometimes my back's to the camera because I'm working here, so I'll try to have a camera positioned up here so you can see what I'm doing, stuff like that. Scotty asked Tom what wax products does he use. Hard wax and detailing. Detailer, yeah. I use Meguiar's. I swear by Meguiar's. I have used Meguiar's forever. I've tried all the others, the new shine. I have tried all that crap. I haven't gone to chemical guys or any of those because I don't need them. Meguiar's gives me everything I need, and I use Meguiar's yellow wax. I think it's number 32. Don't quote me on that. I use Meguiar's buffing compounds, polishing compounds for paint correction, and I just go to Meguiar's. You can get it just about anywhere. Get it from Amazon and support the channel. All right, anything else? Look at Meguiar's on my affiliate link. Thank you, Scotty. That would be awesome. Good to know about GoPro cameras. Yeah, in this situation where I'm just sitting here on a webcam, there's nothing recording or anything, it doesn't ever heat up. Let me just see. Yeah, see, it's not warm at all. But this camera here, which I have rigged up on this tripod you see back here, and I have my wireless mic, and then I have a 10 mil 1000 milliamp hour battery. I have this battery. It's sitting over here charging, and I have this tethered to this camera, and it overheats so damn often it's not even funny. I can't. It seems to be doing pretty good with the time lapse, but with live or with recording, they overheat. It gets to be 85 degrees outside, which has been a lot. They overheat. Tom says liquid yellow wax works great. Yeah, I use Carnauba. It's a good wax. It's solid wax for sure. I mean, really good. Steve C. asks about my thoughts on large caravans like adventure caravans. You can get a good one and you can have a bad one. Again, I think inspection is the key. Now, let me make sure that we're talking the same language, because a caravan in Europe is an RV here. Okay, now a caravan here would be a group of people getting together and traveling together. So, Steve, are we talking about traveling with a large group, or are we talking about large RVs? Because traveling with a large group can be a heck of a lot of fun. In 2017, I went to Mexico for 6 weeks with a group of folks that traveled together. There were 9 of us, all in Class A's, all with toads. We traveled together. We stayed at the same places. There's safety in numbers in Mexico. And the nice thing about it is that my older rig, not sensitive to higher sulfur diesel, which they tend to have in Mexico, and I had no DEF. So, Steve, we're talking about, I think traveling with a large group of people can be fun. I know the Newmar Country Club does I think probably 30 plus rig caravans that they run all the time. Actually the Newmar Rally is happening right now, I believe. I know the full-timers just met because I saw a post on Facebook about it. Joy Rogers asked, where did I get my sound tiles? I got them from Amazon. They came in compressed. They come in a little bundle. I think I got 20 a bundle. They weren't real expensive. Just look for acoustic tiles, and then I put them up with Super 77. So they'll peel off every once in a while. They don't leave it doesn't leave a residue on the wall, which is why I use Super 77. But every once in a while they'll pop off. So 3M Super 77 is one of the best spray adhesives that gives you some repositionability before it sets totally. Again, I got that on YouTube or on Amazon. And in fact, I bought way more of these than I needed, and I have a plan to use them in the truck camper. You'll have to watch the videos to see what I'm going to do with them. Oh, okay. Okay, yes, Adventure Caravans is a company of traveling RVs. And Steve would like to go to New Mexico and see the hot air balloons. That's really fun. I did that in 2018. The Albuquerque Balloon Festival, yeah. That was really fun. And Adventure Caravans, I don't know anything about them particular, but I do know that caravanning with a lot of folks can be a heck of a lot of fun. And there's, again, safety in numbers. It's also comforting, if you break down, you're not by yourself. You got somebody there that can give you a hand. I mean, there's a lot of it. Insulation for the truck camper. That's a good question, KX Racer. I actually have a video I'm producing on that. I was leaning towards closed cell foam, spray foam, but it's hella expensive. The other problem I'm running into is that, as you know, or at least on mine, the wall thickness is 3/4 of an inch, and they had used fiberglass before, and so I cannot find anywhere locally any 3/4 inch foam insulation, foam board insulation. And that's what I want to use. I want to get a little bit more R value than you got with fiberglass, because 3/4 of an inch of fiberglass is like R1, so it's ridiculous. 3/4 of an inch. So what I'm probably going to do, this is still up in the air, but what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to go with 1/2 inch, which I can get locally. And then I'm going to get these thermal, it's like, it's that bubble, Reflectix. It's like Reflectix, but this is built as insulation. And they claim it has an R15 in 5 millimeters. So it's got a reflective aluminum mylar reflective surface over a foam core, and they claim it's R15. So I was doing the math. A half inch of foam board closed cell form is about 1.9, and if I really got R15, then what would I have? Almost R17 or almost R16 in 3/4 of an inch. Now, in the other areas of the RV that are framed to 1.5 inches, I can get 1.5 inch foam board all day. It's the dang 3/4 inch. You just can't get it. I did find some at Lowe's, but it was really curious because the half inch was $9, the 3/4 of an inch was $26 a sheet, and I need about 4 sheets, probably 3 when you take all the framing out. I haven't done the final math on it. So, yeah, I'm leaning towards that foam. The 5mm. They also have some 2.7mm foam, and my truck camper had a foam cord craft paper type. You probably saw it in the roof video. Around on the skin, it was the last layer before the sheathing, and so that was about 1/4 of an inch, which is roughly 5mm. I think 5mm is 3/16, somewhere in there. So it's within a 1/16. And so I might end up with, in some areas, 2 layers of that 5mm, because I think I'm going to put that 5mm in the place of that foam board with the craft paper stuff on it. That's the way I'm leaning. I haven't finalized that yet. I would love to go with spray foam, but I figure I needed right around 300 board feet of spray foam, and that was going to be around $400. And I just can't justify that when I could do the insulation sheets and get the roll insulation, the foam stuff I was talking to you about, and that'll be around $250 all in. So that's the way I'm leaning. Oh, thank you, Scotty. Thank you so much. Yeah, I thought about foaming it, Tom, but even still, it's just expensive. It's just the spray foam is just so damn expensive. So, but yeah, I thought about that. I watched a video on that where a guy had taken like 60 grit sandpaper, and that's how he was, taking the foam down back to the level that he wanted it. Oh wow, it's 8:15, and we still have 18 people connected. So as long as you folks are happy, I'll stick around for a few more minutes. I'm not quite out of tea. I do want to try to get outside for a minute though and do some watering, but it's still 92 degrees out there, so this old man would melt at 92. Well, no. It's actually, this is about the right time of the night. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, that's a great question, though, Jay, KX Racer, sorry, for the insulation on the truck camper. Yeah, actually, that video will run in 2 weeks, I think. I don't have my book here where I've got the videos kind of scheduled out, but I have 9 put together already for it, and I have probably another 50 or 60 hours of content that I haven't even reviewed yet. I'm trying to kind of keep it into blocks of like 2 or 3 days worth of work. When you're only working 3 to 4 or 5 hours a day, some days I don't work on it at all because I've got other stuff going on. Yeah, so I've got like, I think 9 videos at least partially put together. This week's I just was finishing here this afternoon. It'll get uploaded and be ready to go up on Sunday as normal. And then occasionally I'll drop an extra video on Thursday when I have a little short one like I did last week on the replacing the bolts, the jack bolts, where I could put together a nice little discrete 5-6 minute video and post that out. Then that will go up on Thursdays. I don't have one for this week. Yes, Tom, I do remember the pink foam can be glued with epoxy. Yes. All right, so if you have any other questions, we'll take one last round of questions. Uh, as a reminder, if you're shy and you don't want to get into the chat, that's just fine. You can email me, trbolin@gmail.com. I'm happy to respond to you. Usually I'll get back to you normally the next day, unless I'm fishing or, gone for 2 or 3 days for some reason. Okay, well, we're going to call her good. Thanks, everybody, for joining tonight. It's so nice to see you all here. I've enjoyed discussing with you. I always worry that, if I don't have a ton of content put together for the show, that I'll be out of content in 20 minutes and we'll have to shut her down. But you guys always help out and throw great questions out there, and I appreciate that. I also appreciate your supporting the channel by using the link in the description to reach out to Amazon if you're going to go there. Hey, it's Prime Day, right? Today and tomorrow are Prime Days. So if you use the link in the video, that will take you to my store, and it doesn't matter where you go from there. If you just enter through my store and then go to Amazon, you can buy whatever you need. I'll get credit for it. I'll get a small commission, like Scotty said, $0.015. That's about what it works out to on stuff. Well, it's anywhere from 0.9% to 6% on some items. So, in an average month, it's $100. To be honest with you, in an average month, it's $100 in the winter, and that's in the summer. In the winter, it might get as low as 20 or 30. Okay. Good night, all. Thanks. We'll see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Until next week, thanks. Peace.